Hello dear students, myself CMA Padma Busruk. I will be discussing auditing. Study note number 6, auditing concepts. From that, I will discuss about internal control. Internal control refers to a process that is designed for helping the organization to accomplish goals and objectives through people of the organization and IT systems. So in short, internal control is a process which helps organization for accomplishing its goals and objectives. Now how it can accomplish its goals and objectives? Organization can achieve its goals and objectives through people of the organization and IT systems. Internal control system comprises all the methods and procedures adopted to assist in achieving objectives of. Internal control's main aim is to accomplish goals and objectives. So it comprises of all methods and procedures adopted by the management in achieving the objectives of. So what can be these goals and objectives? Efficient conduct of a business, assurance or ensure adherence to management policies, safeguarding of assets, prevention and detection of frauds and errors, and checking the accuracy and completeness of accounting records. Internal check and internal audit are integral part of overall internal control system. Internal check refers to the accounting procedure that acts as a safeguard against frauds and losses. On the other hand, internal auditing is an activity that devises ways for organization for better achievement of objectives. Internal check and internal audit are integral parts of overall internal control. We have studied in detail the meaning of internal check as well as internal audit. Essentials of an internal control system. An efficient internal control system should provide the following: proper division of functional responsibilities. If the in internal control system the duties are properly divided, authorities and responsibilities are defined, then it is efficient internal control system. For proper authorization and assignment of duties to perform and record transaction. If duties are properly allocated, assigned, who is responsible for performing the duties, what duties, who is responsible for recording transaction, and who gives authority to the staff members for performing their duties. If it is clearly mentioned, then it is efficient internal control system. For adoption of proper practices for adherence with management policies. This is compliance procedure. Whatever management policies, rules, regulations are prescribed by management, whether they are followed or not in the organization, is to be checked by internal control system. If it is included in the internal control system, then you can say that it is efficient internal control system. For proper review and authorization of all transactions before they are recorded in the books of accounts and safeguard of business assets. Before entering any transaction in the books of account, there should be authority of a higher staff member who authorizes, who gives authority to lower staff member for recording the transactions in the books of account. He reviews these transactions, and if there is a provision for safeguarding all the business assets, then you can say that internal control system is efficient. If there are proper internal checks and proper internal audit systems, then again the internal control system is efficient because internal check and internal audit are parts of internal control system. Steps in internal control. An effective internal control system consists of certain important steps. Control environment. Establish integrity and ethical values. Environment in the organization, everybody should be aware of control which is going to be in the organization. So that is control environment. Management is supposed to establish integrity, that is honesty, and ethical value, that is conduct or behavior of a person. Assessment of risk. Establishment of plan to prevent risk. In any business, there are various risks. Risk management of these risks is very important. Competitors can emerge, new products can emerge, new technologies can emerge. Competitors can bring products having more features at lower cost. Various different types of risks are there. So it is necessary to establish plan for preventing such risk or tackling such risk. Control activities, formulating policies and procedures. Internal control system is nothing but formulation of plans, policies, procedures for accomplishing the goals and objectives of the organization. Information and communication, evaluation of employee performance. It is necessary to check whether the employees are working efficiently or not. It is necessary to evaluate their performance, communicate the performance to higher authorities. If they are efficient, it is necessary to reward the employees. If they are not efficient, then it is necessary to give them training to improve their efficiency. Monitoring, assessing overall performance of the organization. So these are the steps in internal control. Basic elements of internal control, financial and other organizational plans. This may take the form of manual, suitably classified by flowchart. It should specify the various duties and responsibilities of both management and staff, stating the powers of authorization that reside with various members. This is important as in the event of absence or otherwise, the correct flow of work and the internal control system could be vitiated, that is, get spoilt by any wrong implementation of procedure by staff, either intentionally or willfully. So under basic elements, first element is financial and organizational plan, and this should be through flowchart. Flowchart should specify the duties and responsibilities of management as well as staff. It should clearly give the idea of power of authorization, various members, total hierarchy of the management. So even if in the absence of any staff member, nothing will get disturbed. Supposing if a person wants to do anything unintentionally or willfully to spoil the system, it is impossible if proper flow chart is prepared which specifies duties and responsibilities of top to bottom level staff. Competent personnel. In any internal control system, personnel are the most important element, that is people who are working for the organization. They are very important. When the employees are competent and efficient in their assigned work, the internal control system can be worked and operated efficiently and effectively, even if some of other elements of the internal control system are absent. Success of internal control depends upon people working in the organization. If employees are competent, efficient, then internal control system can be operated effectively and efficiently. Division of work. This refers to the procedure of division of work properly among the employees of the organization. Each and every work of the organization should be divided in different stages and should be allocated to the employees in accordance with quality and skill. Each and every employee has his own merits, demerits, skills, qualities. Depending upon that, the work should be allocated to him, the work should be divided among the employees. Different people will have different qualities, they have different specialities. So, in internal control, this is the basic element division of work. Work is divided among various staff members according to their skill, quality, qualification, experience, etc. Separation of operational responsibility from record keeping. If each department of an organization is being assigned to prepare its own records and reports, there may be a tendency to manipulate results for showing better performance. So, in order to ensure reliable records and information, record keeping function is separated from the operational responsibility of the concerned department. So next basic element of internal control is separation of operational responsibility from record keeping. Record keeping department should be totally different. Each and every department, if it has been given the responsibility of keeping its own records, then what will happen? They can show wrong records in order to show that they are doing better performance. So there should be separation of operational responsibility from record keeping. Record keeping function should be totally different, and the record keeping function should be given the responsibility of only keeping record of various departments of organization. Separation of custody of assets from accounting. To protect against misuse of assets and their misappropriation, it is required that the custody of assets and their accounting should be done by separate person. When a particular person performs both the functions, there is a chance of utilizing the organization's assets for his personal interest and adjusting the records to relieve himself from the responsibility of the assets. Person who is having custody of assets should not maintain accounting records of those assets. Otherwise, he can commit fraud. He can use the asset for his own interest. Authorization. In an internal control system, all the activities must be authorized by proper authority. The individual or group which can grant either specific or general authority for transaction should hold a position commensurate with nature and significance of the transactions, and the policy for such authority should be established by the top management. It is necessary to have authority for all the transactions. It depends. It should be defined as authority. Supposing a person who is authorizing a transaction for purchases, there are various levels, depends upon the amount involved. The person who sanctions purchases for 1 lakh and the person who sanctions purchases for 1 crore should be different. But for each and every activity, it needs authorization. Managerial supervision and review. The internal control system should be implemented and maintained in conformity with the environmental and elemental changes of the concern. By adopting any specific control system permanently, the extent to which the procedure of flexible controls have been followed in real practice should be observed and re examined. It is necessary to have supervision and review of the managers. Internal control system should not be adopted permanently. There will be various changes, so it should be observed, examined, and if there are any changes, the system should be such as it should be flexible to adapt such changes, to accommodate the changes. Nature of internal control. Internal control is an essential prerequisite for efficient and effective management of any organization. So, internal control is must for efficient and effective management. It is thus a primary responsibility of every management to establish and maintain an adequate system of internal control appropriate to the size of the business and nature of the business of the entity. So, it is necessary that each and every organization should have internal control, but it should be appropriate to the size of the business as well as nature of the business. Essay 265 on communicating deficiencies in internal control to those charged with governance and management defines the system of internal control as all the policies and procedures, internal controls adopted by the management of an entity to assist in achieving management's objective of ensuring, as far as practicable, the orderly and efficient conduct of its business, including adherence to management policies, the safeguarding of assets, the prevention and detection of fraud and error, the accuracy and completeness of accounting records, and timely preparation of reliable financial information. This definition is too lengthy, so I will let you know what this definition means. As per definition by Essay 265 on communicating deficiencies in internal control to those charged with governance and management. So, as per this definition, internal control is all the policies and procedures adopted by the management. Why these policies and procedures are adopted by the management? To assist in achieving management's objectives, ensuring the orderly and efficient conduct of its business. For achieving the objectives, management's objectives, goals, policies, and procedures are adopted by the management. It is necessary that to ensure the orderly and efficient conduct of business. Orderly and efficient conduct of business. How it is to be ensured? Including adherence to management policies. If there is compliance to management policies, safeguarding of assets, if proper provision for safety of assets is made, prevention and detection of frauds and errors. Then the internal control ensures the orderly and efficient conduct of business if it is employed in internal control. The accuracy and completeness of accounting records to make sure that accounting records are accurate as well as complete, and timely preparation of reliable financial information, timely preparation of financial statements, that is profit and loss account as well as balance sheet. Scope of internal control. Control procedures are the policies and procedures that the management has established to achieve the entity's specific objectives. For example, physical verification of assets, periodical review and reconciliation of accounts, specific controls on computer generated data. The scope of internal control as per above definition extends beyond mere accounting control. Thus, operational controls such as quality control, work standards, budgetary control, periodic reporting, policy appraisals, quantitative controls, etc. are all parts of internal control system. Scope of internal control is nothing but areas. In which areas internal control is applicable? It is only for accounting controls? No, it is over and above mere accounting control. Internal control is not only financial control, but it includes control over non-financial area also. Control represents the overall attitude, awareness, and action of directors and management regarding the internal control system of the entity. For example, in a strong control environment, there would be tight budgetary controls and an effective internal audit function. If the control environment is strong, then naturally there will be tight budgetary controls as well as effective internal audit function. We'll continue with the scope of internal audit. The system of internal control extends beyond accounting system and comprises control environment and control procedure. So internal control is not only account control over accounting system, but it comprises of control environment and control procedure. Now we'll see what is the meaning of control environment. The control environment in an enterprise depends largely on the following factors: the entity's organizational structure and the methods of assigning authority and responsibility, including segregation of duties and supervisory functions. Organization structure, hierarchy. What are the methods of assigning duties, authorities, responsibilities? If it is proper, well defined, then internal control is effective, and it is possible only when there is control environment in an enterprise. The function of board of directors or the corresponding governing body and its committee. For example, how strong is the audit committee of the board of directors? When audit committee is necessary, appointment of audit committee is necessary, how strong it is? What are the functions of board of directors? So control environment depends upon this. Management's philosophy and operating style. Does the management believes in having a strong control environment? Which implies that the management itself would also be subjected to discipline of controls. Management should be strict enough to have proper control and control environment. So it depends upon management's philosophy and operating style. Management's control system including the internal audit function, personnel policies and procedures. Which internal control system, internal audit policies are adopted by management? Now we'll see what are the objectives of internal control. Other than accomplishing the desired goals and objectives of the organization, this system plays a very important role in any organization. Internal control system plays very important role in any organization. Let it be small organization, big organization, multinational company, etc. The main objectives of internal control are compliance. To have compliance with law and accounting practices generally accepted, that is to have compliance with law and GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, practices which are followed in the country. The accounting process also needs to be in compliance with this reliance. To increase the reliance on internal systems, people, and accounting practices followed by the organization so that the chances of frauds are reduced. Reliance is what? To rely on internal systems, people, accounting practices followed in the organization. If they are reliable, if you can rely on that, if they are efficient, then chances of frauds are reduced. Safeguarding. To safeguard the organization's accounts, employees, and assets by formation of foolproof policies, rules, and regulations. Management should formulate rules, regulations, and policies for safeguarding not only employees and accounts and assets, but sometimes it should ensure the security of customers also. Security to provide security to customers, employees, and property of the organization. Physical security systems like security guard, locks, and anti theft devices are used for providing protection. Now, how to safeguard interest of customers, how to give security to customers. After sales services should be good. If they are they have any complaints, it should be properly taken care of by the organization. Then guarantees and warranties, if given to customers, should be taken care of by the organization properly. So this way they can safeguard the interest of customers and provide them securities. Increased efficiency to assist in human resource and performance management and to keep proper control over business activities to achieve maximum level of efficiency. If resources are properly used, various resources, main material machines, if they all these resources are used economically, then it results in efficiency. It helps in increasing efficiency. Evaluation to evaluate the accounting system for proper authorization of transaction. Evaluation is nothing but analyzing, reviewing accounting system for proper authorization of transactions, recording of the transactions in the books of accounts, then preparation of financial statements. It should have proper authority. Review and correction. The review to review the working of business, locate weak points in operations and to take corrective measures for proper working. It is necessary to review the working of the business to find out weak areas, take corrective actions for proper working. Authorization to provide proper authority for purchase, sale, valuation, verification, and possession of assets. For each and every activity relating to asset, there should be proper authorization. Proper authority should sanction purchase of asset, sale of asset, revaluation of asset, verification of asset, possession of asset, etc. Delegation to provide for division of duties among employees where all staff members work cohesively. Delegation is nothing but assignment of duties to various staff members where they work cohesively, that is, where they work together effectively. Accurate planning to ensure that the auditors and the accountants of the organization make all the financial reports correctly and to ensure that financial planning is done accurately. So this is important objective of internal control. In each and every field, planning is very important. If you plan properly, success is guaranteed. So in case of organization, if proper financial planning is there, then it is possible for the organization to achieve the objectives and goals of maximizing profit. Conformity with accounting principles to conform to the basic accounting concepts and principles that was governing an organization. Resource utilization to ensure that all the resources, man, material, money, machines of the organization are optimally used, that is, they are used in optimum manner. Safeguarding of resources to protect the resources of the organization against mismanagement or fraud and to ensure that companies' activities are in accordance with law and regulations. There is no violation of law, no violation of regulation. Compliance procedure is followed as well as safeguarding of all resources is there. Setting future corporate goals. An efficient system of internal control helps the organization in goal setting. However, the organization should have certain policies, rules, and regulations in place to achieve the present goal. Next, advantages of internal control: efficiency, effectiveness, and economy. A good internal control system ensures that resources are utilized only for their intended purpose and helps to overcome the risk associated with the misuse of organizations' funds and other resources. If available resources are used efficiently and effectively, then it results in economy. So if there is good internal control system, then it ensures that the resources are utilized in optimum manner, which results in economy. Prevention of errors and irregularities. It prevents errors and irregularities by detecting them in timely manner, thereby promoting reliable and accurate accounting records. Errors are detected on time before preparation of financial statements, so accounting records can be accurate and reliable. Safeguard from irregularities or misappropriation. A good internal control system helps the protection of organizations' resources from misappropriation and provide safeguard from any irregularities. Employees' satisfaction. It protects the interest of employees by segregation of duties and delegation of responsibilities. The work is allotted to employees depending upon his experience, skill, knowledge, expertise. So employees are satisfied. Importance of internal control. Various benefits accrue out of internal control system. These are attainment of goal and objectives. A sound internal control helps the entity towards attainment of goal and objective of the business. Reliable financial information. A sound internal control helps the organization to set reliable financial information for managerial decision making. Compliance with law and regulations. Sound internal control system ensures various compliance with laws and regulations prevailing in the country. Efficient and effective operation. A sound internal control system ensures efficient and effective operations that accomplish the goal of the organization and protect employees and assets of the business. Prevention of frauds and errors. A sound internal control system prevents and detects frauds and errors and ensures timely preparation of financial statement and various report for decision making. So we have already seen advantages of internal control. If you see, importance is similar to whatever we have seen under the head advantages. Now we'll see what are the limitations of internal control. Organizational structure. Deficiencies in organizational structure make internal control ineffective. If organizational structure itself is not proper, if there are deficiencies, if they are defective, then internal control is not effective. Size of the organization. Small organizations have very low level of internal control which are almost negligible due to more interference by owners and management. In case of small organizations, there will be low level of internal control and there is always interference by the owners and management. Unusual transactions. The internal control procedure normally fails to keep a check on unusual transactions. Internal control is useful when the transactions are frequently same in nature. If some of the unexpected transactions, unexpected things occur, then internal control procedures are not useful to check on these unusual transactions. Costly. The implementation of internal control procedures and processes involve incurring cost in terms of time, effort, and resources. This is costly for small organizations. Abuse of power. Members at the top level management may override with control. So sometimes top level management themselves can commit fraud. So these are the limitations of internal control. Collusion of two or more people. It may lead to internal control being overridden. That means if two or more people come together and commit fraud, then this leads to internal control being overridden. Obsolescence. Control system may become redundant with passage of time if not updated with change in the size and nature of business. If nature of business changes, size of business changes, then it is necessary to change the internal control system. There are some changes that take place outside the business. So it should be flexible enough to accommodate the changes. Otherwise it will become obsolete. Potential for human error. Due to misunderstanding of the concept of internal control, human errors may occur while carrying out internal control system. Frequent follow-up measures. Follow-up procedure need to be frequent to ensure its effectiveness, which is extremely time consuming. So it is necessary to follow up this internal control frequently, which is time consuming. These are some more limitations of internal control. Now we'll see what are the types of internal control system. The type of internal control system to be employed in an organization depends upon the requirements and nature of the business. Type depends on requirement and nature of the business. Generally, there are two types of internal control in an organization: preventive control and detective control. Both types of controls are essential to an effective internal control system. From a quality standpoint, preventive controls are essential because they are proactive. Proactive is anticipating future problems and needs, and emphasize quality. So from quality standpoint, preventive control is essential. However, detective controls play critical role by providing evidence that the preventive controls are functioning as intended. See, you know what is the meaning of preventive maintenance and breakdown maintenance of the machinery. It is similar to that. In order that, in order to avoid the breakdown of machinery, maintenance of machinery is carried out, which is known as preventive maintenance. But if the machine breaks down, repairing is done. So preventive maintenance and breakdown maintenance. Like that, preventive control and detective controls. In order that there should not be any frauds and errors, control is established, that is known as preventive control. Preventive controls are designed to discourage errors or irregularities from occurring. In order that there should not be error, there should not be irregularities, there should not be frauds, controls are designed, and these are known as preventive controls. They are proactive controls in anticipation of future needs that help to ensure departmental objectives are being met. Examples of preventive controls are segregation of duties. Duties are segregated among different people to reduce the risk of error or inappropriate action. Normally, responsibilities for authorizing the transactions, approval, recording transaction accounting, and handling the related asset custody are divided. So one person should not be given the responsibility of single transaction right from the beginning till the end. It should be divided among various staff members. Approvals, authorization, and verifications. Management authorizes employees to perform certain activities and to execute certain transactions within limited parameters. In addition, management specifies those activities or transactions that need supervisory approval before they are performed or executed by employees. A supervisor's approval, whether it is manual or electronic, implies that he or she has verified and validated that the activity or transaction conforms to established policies and procedures. Management defines authority, responsibility. So before performing any activity, it is necessary to check that it has been authorized by management, validated, verified. That is, it conforms to the established policies and procedures. Security of assets. It is preventive as well as detective control. Access to equipment, inventories, securities, cash, and other assets is restricted. Assets are periodically counted and compared to amounts shown on control records. Access to equipments, inventories, securities, cash, and other assets are restricted. So each and every employee should not be given access to all these inventories, securities, cash, other assets. Even for use of computers, entering accounting data, there should be password and each and everyone should not be allowed to use each and every asset of the company. Detective controls. Detective controls are designed to find errors or irregularities after they have occurred. If errors, frauds, irregularities have occurred, it is necessary to find it out. It is necessary to detect it, and that is done by detective controls. Examples of detective controls are review of performance. Management compares information about current performance to budget, forecast, prior period, or other benchmark to measure the extent to which goals and objectives are being achieved and to identify unexpected results or unusual conditions that require follow up. It is necessary to review the performance with certain benchmarks so that management will come to know whether goals and objectives have been achieved or not. If there are any unexpected results or unusual conditions, then certain actions are taken up. Reconciliation. An employee relates different sets of data to one another, identifies and investigates differences, and takes corrective action whenever necessary. It is necessary to have reconciliation of cash book, bank column with bank statement. It is necessary to reconcile debtors and creditors balances with confirmation letter from them. Physical inventories, physical counting of stock, inventory, raw material, work in progress, finished goods, and audit. This is nothing but internal audit. These are all detective controls. Corrective controls target at the correction of errors and irregularities as soon as they are detected. Preventive control and detective control. Once the errors and irregularities and frauds are detected, it is necessary to correct that, and that is done by corrective controls. Now we'll see responsibilities of management and auditors. Primary responsibility of management. The prime responsibility for maintaining an adequate accounting system and incorporating various internal control rests with the management. The responsibility of closely monitoring the system to ensure that it is in place so as to facilitate the basic objectives of installing it also rests with the management. Maintaining adequate accounting systems, incorporating various controls, and monitoring the system is primary responsibility of management. Now we'll see what is auditor's responsibility. To safeguard his own interest, the auditor might resort to examination and evaluation of the internal controls that exist in the organization. He formulates an audit program only after satisfying himself that such internal control systems are adequate and in consonance, that is in agreement with requirement of the business. The auditor should bring the weaknesses of the internal control system, if any, to the management's notice through letter of weakness or management letter. Before formulating audit program, auditor studies, examines, evaluates the internal control system. If he finds any weaknesses, he brings it to the notice of management through management letter. The auditor's responsibility is to examine, evaluate, study, check internal control system before formulation of audit program. Evaluation of internal control by auditor. Just now we have seen auditor evaluates internal control system. before formulation of audit program. So evaluation of internal control is nothing but analysis of internal control, study of internal control. How he does that? First, understanding the system. This can be done in the following ways: discussion with personnel at various levels of the organization, reference to organization chart, procedure manual, information flow channels, etc. Enquiries using brief but complete questionnaire. First, the auditor will try to understand the internal control system. For that, he will discuss with various people at various levels in the organization. He will study organizational chart, procedure manuals, flow charts, and he will inquire through the questionnaire. So once he understands the system, next he will test the internal control, testing of internal control. This is how he will evaluate the internal control. Procedural test. These tests deal with checking the compliance of the procedure laid down by management in respect of transactional flow at each stage. They provide reasonable assurance about the proper implementation and effectiveness of internal control. Procedural test. He will check whether the policies, procedures laid down by management are followed by in the organization or not. Examination in depth. This involves examination of few selected transactions from the beginning till the end, recording of transactions at various stages, documentation of the same, authenticity of the authorization is checked in detail. He will select some few transactions and check the few transactions from beginning to the end, from source document till it is recorded in the financial statements. He will check whether all the documents are there, whether they are authentic, whether authorization is there for each and every transaction. He will check in detail only few selected transactions. The auditor forms a conclusion based on his examination of the internal control system, which incorporates the following points: the degree and nature of weakness in the system, whether the internal control system is sound or weak, degree, that is 90% it is good, 10% it is weak, 100% it is sound, etc. The extent to which audit reliance may be placed. What is the percentage to be relied upon the internal control system? The nature, timing, and extent of substantive procedure that need to be applied. Substantive procedure, nature, timing, and extent that needs to be applied. Now we'll see what is the meaning of substantive procedure. We have already studied this. Management impliedly asserts that account balances and underlying classes of transactions do not contain any material misstatement. In other words, they are materially complete. That is, accounting balance, accounting transactions are materially complete, valid, and accurate. This is the assertion given by management. Auditor gather evidence about these assertions by undertaking activities referred to as substantive procedures. Technique for evaluation of internal control system. Auditor needs to evaluate, analyze, examine the internal control system. These are the techniques which he uses for examination, evaluation of internal control system. First is narrative record. It is a complete and exhaustive description of the system. So this is nothing but complete description, written description of the system. It is appropriate in circumstances where a formal control system is lacking, like in case of small businesses. Gaps in the control system are difficult to identify using narrative records. It is written narrative record describing the system. Mostly it is used in case of small businesses, but it is difficult to find the gaps in control system. Checklist. It is a series of instructions that a member of audit staff is required to follow. They have to be signed, initialed by audit assistant as proof of having followed the instructions given. A specific statement is required for every weakness area. Checklist is number of instructions, series of instructions given to the member of audit staff. They follow these instructions while doing the audit, and once as soon as the job is completed, they put their signature or initial as proof of followed the instructions. Flowchart. It is a pictorial representation of the internal control system depicting its various elements such as operations, processes, and controls, which help in giving a concise and comprehensive view of the organization's working to the auditor. A complete flowchart would depict the process of raising documents, personnel involved in doing so, the flow of documents through various departments, maintenance of records, flow of goods and consideration, and dealing with results. Flowchart is pictorial representation. It is a picture which gives the organizational structure, hierarchy of the organization. It helps the auditor in studying the internal control system. Internal control questionnaire. This is the most widely used method for collecting information regarding internal control system, and it involves asking questions to various people at different level in the organization. The questionnaire is in pre-designed format to ensure collection of complete and all relevant information. The questions are formed in a manner that would facilitate obtaining full information through the answers yes or no. Various levels of the organization in each and every department. Questions are formed, and these questions are to be answered by departmental personnel, departmental head, employees of the department, departmental official, and questions are formed in such a manner that answer will be either yes or no, that is affirmative or negative. With the use of this questionnaire, internal auditor will get a clear idea about internal control system of the organization. In this particular video, we have seen internal control system. What is the meaning of internal control system? Its essential steps, basic elements, nature and scope, objectives, advantages, importance, limitations, types of internal control system, and evaluation of internal control system by auditor. Thank you.